All right, IM3 classes. Today we are talking about finding rational solutions of polynomial equations. Today, basically, we are going to be looking at quadratic equations, so polynomials, and just factoring and solving them. Right? There's a bunch of different methods that we need to go over about finding rational solutions. What rational means, we're just dealing with real numbers here. So let's start off. Solve. We need to talk about how to solve a factored polynomial. So in this form, in practice doing this part, we use what's called the zero product property. Real simple to solve for x in this. Since this quantity times this quantity is equal to 0, what we can do is split it up and say the 7x plus 2 is equal to 0, or x plus 6 is equal to 0. One of them has to be equal to 0 for the product equal to 0. And so this is actually going to give us two separate answers. So once it's here, it's real easy to solve. You just solve each individually. So subtract 2, that cancels out. You get 7x is equal to negative 2. And then divide by 7. So we get x is equal to negative 2 over 7. Or over here, this one's even easier to solve, just subtract 6. So you get x, I'm going to bring it down here, x is equal to negative 6. So we have two possible solutions. X is either negative 2 over 7 or negative 6. All right, let's look at another example. One more of those. Solve for b this time. So split it up. You do 3v plus 1 is equal to 0, or 2v plus 1 is equal to 0, and then solve each individually. I'm going to put in a line of separation just to help keep this stuff organized. So starting off on this one, I'm going to subtract 1 from both sides. Plus 1 minus 1 cancels out. Get 3v is equal to negative 1. And then divide by 3. You get v is equal to negative 1/3. Over here, subtract 1 from both sides. Plus 1 minus 1 cancels out. You get 2v is equal to negative 1. Divide by 2. So we get v is equal to negative 1/2. So our two possible solutions are negative 1/3 and negative 1/2. All right. So split it up, set it equal to 0. Let's look at another example. Let's get that one. So here, we're going to have problems like this. So x squared minus 8x equals 0. We need to solve. So what we do is factor this first. I'm going to make that a little bit bigger for us. I'm going to factor that first. I can factor using a GCF. So I can take out, they have an x in common. So you take out an x, I'm left with x minus 8 is equal to 0. And here, now I can just use that zero product property to solve. So I separate it out. So my two products are x is equal to 0, and then x minus 8 is equal to 0. Really only need to solve this one over here. So this cancels out. I get x is equal to 8. So the two possible solutions are x equals 0 and x equals 8. So let's look at another example. So same thing. I'm going to start off by factoring this. So I have an r squared, 6r. They have an r in common, so I'm going to factor out an r. I get r times r plus 6 is equal to 0. Now I can use the zero product property. I can split up my two factors. So r is equal to 0, or r plus 6 is equal to 0. And then really just need to solve this one over here. So that cancels out. You get r is equal to negative 6, or r is equal to 0. So again, that's two solutions. All right. So that's pretty simple. Let's skip over that one. Before we get into the next thing, there are different ways that textbooks or math people ask you to solve a quadratic equation. One, they'll just say solve. Pretty easy, right? Another way would say find the roots or find the zeros. All these things mean the same thing. You're solving for x. All right, solve, find the zeros, find the roots. We are solving for x. All right, so let's look at another problem. So x squared minus 5x plus 6. I'm gonna make that 6 a little bit better. That's not that much better. Oh well. So x squared minus 5x plus 6 is equal to 0. What we have to do is just like the other problem, we need to factor this first. You don't add 6, you don't try to get x by itself, factor it first. All right. So 6 goes on the top of the x, negative 5 on the bottom, factors of 6 add to negative 5. That's going to be negative 2, negative 3. All right. I'm going to write out those factors. X minus 2 times x minus 3 is equal to 0. So after you have it factored, now we can use that zero product property, set each of the factors equal to 0, and then solve for x. So here, simple on this one, add 2 to both sides. So I get x is equal to 2. Then over here, add 3 to both sides. I get x is equal to 3. So our two solutions are 2 and 3. Okay. Another example, so same thing as last time, but sometimes you're going to have to deal with, that extra step of factoring before you do this. So we're going to factor this using the x factor. So remember, on top, I'm going to do 7 times negative 5 is negative 35. Bottom is 2. So what are factors at negative 35 that add to 2? That's going to be positive 7, negative 5. And then since I've multiplied by 7 to get the top number, I have to divide it back out. Divide both sides by 7, and then reduce. So this 7 over 7 reduces to 1. So the factors can be x plus 1 times, the bottom goes in front of the x, so it's going to be 7x minus 5. So once I have the factors, I set them each equal to 0. So it's x plus 1 is equal to 0, or 7x minus 5 is equal to 0. Over here, subtract 1 from both sides. I get x is equal to negative 1 is one of the solutions. Over here, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. You get 7x is equal to 5. Oop, down a little too much. And then divide both sides by 7. Times 7 divided by 7 cancels out. You get x is equal to 5/7. It should include a line of separation just to help. So that is it. So factor, solve. Main part of the lesson. There are going to be problems. We're going to skip over this. A problem like this, where not everything's on the same side of the equation. So we have x squared plus 4x is equal to negative 3. We want to be able to factor this. So what we need to do before we factor is get everything on one side. We need a 3-term polynomial to factor. All right. We don't want to just factor it, do x times x plus 4 is equal to negative 3, and then separate it out. That doesn't work unless it's 0 on this side. So we need this equal to 0. So first thing I'm going to do is add 3 to both sides to get the 3 to the other side. So I get x squared plus 4x plus 3 is equal to 0. From there, now I can factor 3 on top, 4 on bottom. Factors of 3 that add to 4 are just going to be 1 and 3. 1 times 3 is 3, 1 plus 3 is 4. So the factors of this polynomial are x plus 1 times x plus 3. Separate it out. So x plus 1 is equal to 0. X plus 3 is equal to 0. And then solve. Subtract 1 from both sides. Plus 1 minus 1 cancels out. Get x is equal to -1. And subtract 3. This cancels out. You get x is equal to -3. One more example. All right, so same thing. We don't have everything on the same side of the equation. Let me see if there's a better one to do. Yeah, I like this one better. All right, we don't have everything on the same side of the equation, so we need to fix that. What we need to do is bring this one over the other side. So I'm going to start off by adding 5x to both sides. Make sure you add it to its like term on the other side. All right. So the 5x minus 5x plus 5x cancels out here. 6x plus 5x is 11x. All right. And so bring down the rest of the polynomial, and then we are going to factor that. So factor, since there's a 12 here, 12 times -5 is -60. And then 11 on bottom. Factors of -60 that add to 11. That's going to be a +15, -4. Right? And then I need to divide. Since I multiplied by 12 to get the top, I need to divide it back out on the sides. Both of these are going to reduce. -4/12 reduces to -1/3. 12/15, I can divide top and bottom by 3. That's going to be 5/4. So my factors are going to be 4x plus 5 times 3x minus 1. Remember, the bottom of the fraction goes in front of the x. Don't want that yet. Want a little bit more space. There we go. So separate these out. 4x plus 5 is equal to 0. And then 3x minus 1 is equal to 0. Starting over here, you're going to subtract 5 from both sides. So plus 5 minus 5 cancels out. You get 4x is equal to -5. Divide both sides by 4. You get x is equal to -5/4. Add 1 to both sides. This cancels out. You get 3x is equal to 1. And then divide by 3. X is equal to 1/3. All right. And that'll do it for the lesson today. Just let me know if you have any questions, and we will see you guys next time.